Hey, I'm Jacob Parker, and I'm here to talk about the electronically powered automobile ice scraper. So, the idea behind this is well, first we started with a problem. Living in Pittsburgh, it's cold. There's a lot of ice and snow, especially during the winter months. So, ice scrapers and snow brushes are a pain to use. Ice scrapers, especially, are tedious. They never seem to be the right size. Either they're big and clunky and can't be stored well, or they're too small and make you lean across halfway across your car to get the middle of your windshield. That being said, they put unnecessary pressure on users, and ice scrapers aren't really useful to remove a lot of snow. On the flip side of that, snow brushes don't really remove ice. Again, they're not easily stored. They're usually big and clunky, and they put unnecessary pressure on users when moving snow from off your car. So that's the problem. Some people have tried to solve it. As you can see here, some possible solutions. These are both heated ice scraper models. They work by being plugged into the car cigarette lighter or 12-volt outlet, and they are not without their issues. One issue that we found was common was the cord length, and these models had to remain plugged in while being used, so that meant the cord had to be snaked through an open window or open door, and oftentimes wasn't long enough to reach the middle of the windshield. Another issue was the heating element itself. It either was not hot enough to melt the ice, or got so hot that it melted the plastic that the ice scraper was made of. So these solutions were not without their issues. So when thinking about our solution, we had to think about who would be using it, which is pretty much anybody with a car that lives in a place where snow or ice are an issue. Cold weather climates and people without indoor car storage. And as you can see here, this little graphic shows the extent of the U.S. that had snow cover as of January 31st of this year, which is over 40%, which that's a lot of people. So there's definitely a market, and it would definitely help a lot of people. So moving on, some human factors issues that we wanted our design to cover. First off, the handle. So most ice scrapers currently, the handle's not really long enough, so you're left leaning over your car, stretching and extending to get to the middle of the windshield. And the handle often has an uncomfortable grip. It makes you flex your wrist straight, which is unnatural, and can cause issues for people with arthritis, for the elderly. It's just plain uncomfortable. Another issue we wanted to touch on when using the electronic model was the wire. So a lot of times the wires were upwards of 10 feet in length for models that we saw. And that, if you've ever used headphones, you know wires are prone to tangling. So that becomes a storage issue, safety issue, and it's annoying. So if you want a short wire, well, then you're not going to be able to get to the entirety of your windshield to scrape all the ice and snow off. And then, obviously, when working with electricity and water, ice, and snow, there becomes the risk of electric shock. And obviously nobody wants that. And finally, the brush and scraper cause a lot of fatigue to the user, motioning back and forth, and we really don't want that. So yeah, those were just some ideas that we wanted to touch on in our particular solution. So moving on to our solution, you can see some SolidWorks renderings here. This is the ice scraper model. Now, As you can see, the handle has a angled grip, and the ice scraper attachment is detachable. So moving through that, you can detach it and put on the snow brush attachment. Um, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Um, so just some ideas and features that we wanted to point out. Again, I already said the detachable ice scraper slash snow brush. So you can choose which tool you want to use, what better suits your needs. An extendable handle. It's telescoping. It essentially just allows you to get to the entirety of your windshield with ease without having to bend over your car. And I already touched on the angled handle as well, but what that provides is a more comfortable grip for the user. And it allows you to grip it without flexing your wrist in an unnatural way. So another thing not really in the drawings was a charging cord. So with an electric model, we don't want to be bound by wires. So we thought, why not allow the device to be used while unplugged? So the charging cord can just be plugged into your typical cigarette lighter or 12-volt outlet, and then you can unplug it to use wherever, whenever. And then finally, one idea we saw when looking at other models was the flashlight. So oftentimes you're scraping ice or snow off your car in dark conditions when it's early in the morning, late at night, leaving work. So a flashlight can be really helpful. And the flashlight is actually detachable. So you can use it at any angle you like. You can place it wherever is most useful to you. And yeah. So that's our design. And as you can see here, this is just a nice little rendering of this woman using it.
Displayed here are dimensions for the product as well as for both detachable heads for future manufacturing repeatability.